Hi, I'm Róisín from Moloko, and I'm here getting outrageous on Rage tonight, so check this out.
Hello.
I've always been a fan of Grace Jones. I think she's an incredible powerhouse, and I did see her live a couple of years ago in Florence, and it was like a surprise thing because we went there just for a weekend and she was on, and it was amazing. She's still an incredible performer, and here she is now with Private Life. There's a few reasons why I chose Cabaret Voltaire. One being that Mark, my partner in Moloko, was in Cabaret Voltaire for a small amount of time in the early 80s and had a huge, huge influence on him. He played bass for them, and, you know, they were electronic pioneers. They're from Sheffield, which is where we started Moloko, and I guess musically where we get our backbone, I guess. And the other reason I chose it is because I've known Richard, who's one half of Cabaret Voltaire, since I moved to Sheffield. He's a lovely geezer, a bit strange, no eyebrows. And then the other day in Perth, I met for the first time the other half of Cabaret Voltaire, Mal, and he actually lives here now. And so, you know, here we go. I mean, they did kind of start it all in the north of England, so let's check them out. This is Cabaret Voltaire. I'm currently working on a brand new project, breaking away somewhat, with a guy called Matthew Herbert, who I'm just about to play a track called Suddenly by. He's very clever, and he's got a huge brain like this. And he's currently in the process of blowing my mind in the studio in London. And yeah, I just love him. I love his music. There's something about the timbre of his music. It just doesn't sound like anything else. Now, I know why that is now, because I've worked with him and watched how he works. It's a completely different process. He told me the first day to bring in an object. So I brought in my notebooks. I didn't know what he meant. And he said to me, "Did you bring an object in?" And I said, "Yeah, well, I've only got these notebooks." And he said, "Oh, that's very interesting." Just flick through the notebook. "Can you just bang that notebook on the microphone?" Which I did. Just whacked the microphone with the notebook. Then we had the kick drum, scratched the microphone. Then we had like a synth sound. So, I mean, everything, every sound that he makes, every sound that comes from the music, out of the music, he makes it. So there is no keyboard sounds in there. You know, there's nothing coming directly out of a machine without him twisting it or doing something to it. And most of it goes right through the mic and then his sample, so it all has an air, like oxygen around it. And you'll hear, even on this track, it is astounding the way he makes music sound. This is Matthew Herbert, Suddenly. Forevermore was an interesting video to make. For all intents and purposes, it's like Beanie Man is a Don. And this is a fantastic track that we're going to play now. It's called Girl Dem Sugar. And it's probably the first raga track that I kind of know the words of and got really into. I think he's a major sort of raga superstar. And he's actually a bit of a geezer as well. And here we go. Come on, let's... Who am I? Let's go. En Vogue, part of the great tradition of great black lady singers. You know, 3 of them vibing. And this song blew everybody's heads off when it came out first. I think it was late 80s. Pre-Destiny's Child. I think kind of almost the sort of cut-out shape of kind of contemporary R&B pop music 10 years before people like Destiny's Child were doing it. Hold On still stands up as a great soul track and fabulous vocals, so check this out. So, next up is Bootsy, and of course, P-Funk was one of the major influences on Moloko when we started out, when we made our first record, Do You Like My Tight Sweater? I guess the two extremes of influences would have been Bootsy Collins on and P-Funk on the one hand, and maybe Kraftwerk and more kind of electronic music on the other hand. Bootsy actually came to see us play live one time, which was a great thrill for us. We were in Germany, and before the show there was a knock at the door, and it was one of the guys from Kraftwerk, and we let him in, which was marvellous. So we said hello, and after the show, knock knock, it was Bootsy Collins. So we had the two extremes in the one night. Bootsy's actually a wonderful songwriter as well as a complete lunatic, and he's written some of my favourite tunes. But anyway, here he is, getting his freak on. Check him out.
Hi, I'm Róisín from Moloko, and you're watching Rage.
The Pixies have been one of my favourite bands of all time since I was very young. Well, when I started getting into music first, I guess I was about 13 or 14. And the Pixies, along with a couple of other bands, were like my top favourite. And I saw them play live when I was 14 in Manchester. And they completely blew me away. They're just sort of funky, basically, even though they're rocky and whatever. And they just got soul. And Frank Black's got the best voice. And they've got an incredible drummer. But the major thing that left an influence and a mark on me was Kim Deal, and and Kim Gordon, which I'm going to talk about Sonic Youth later. But those two women just the essence of how free they were, and unrestricted in terms of being girls in music, is something that I hope's rubbed off on me a little bit. And yeah, I love the Pixies. This is Debaser.
Hi, I'm Róisín from Moloko, and you are watching Rage.
Calexico are a band that we saw live as well this year on the festival circuit, and I have to say they were the best live act I think probably that I've seen this year. And they're there. I think what they capture is an atmosphere that's really special. And on the stage they have all these lights it's almost like a garden party. But it's palpable when you kind of get closer to the stage, the sort of good vibes, the fantastic atmosphere around them and around their music. And I was surprised when I bought the record that actually the atmosphere's on the record too, so that's always a plus. And so here they are, Calexico. I think Sonic Youth defined cool for me in my teens. Certainly Kim Gordon was another role model of mine. If I have any role models, I guess she would be one of them. Not that I know anything that she talks about. I don't think I've ever read an interview with her, maybe once or twice. These are kind of mysterious people that we know very little about, that kind of hide behind these walls of sound. And I just remember going to a show also when I was about 14 and sitting on the edge of the stage and looking at them, and they were being supported by Mudhoney, and at the end of the show Mudhoney all came out onto the stage, picked up Kim Gordon and kept repeatedly throwing her out to the audience, throwing her. She'd climb back onto the stage, they'd pick her up, throw her back out onto the audience. I just thought this was the best thing I ever saw in my life. It was the best gig I've ever seen, actually. It was incredible. It was about the Daydream Nation time, and they were playing Mudhoney. Mudhoney came out, they did a version of I Wanna Be Your Dog, the Stooges song, all together, that went on for about 25 minutes, and it was absolutely amazing. And yeah, they're just heroes of mine. I actually saw them play live a couple of years ago in Brazil, when we were doing a gig in Brazil. And they're not perhaps doing as many jumps as they used to, But they're just as brilliant. I mean, the sound that they make is like absolutely nothing else on this earth. And, you know, I just think they're like so cool, man. It's like totally jazz, rock. So, yeah, one of my favorites, Sonic Youth. Microphone Fiend, Eric B. and Rakim, I think is my favorite rap ever. It's just got absolutely everything. It has the classic intention of hip-hop to sort of say, I'm the best, I'm the hardest, I'm the toughest, I'm the best rhymer, I'm blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, I mean, it's almost like, don't need any more raps than that. So it's the only piece of rap music I've learned from start to finish. I know every single word of Microphone Fiend. It's occasionally dropping elements of it while I'm doing the live show. Yeah, I just love it. I just love the vocal on this track. Fiend, before I became a teen, I built a microphone instead of cones and ice cream music orientated. So when hip-hop was originated, fitted like pieces of puzzle, complicated. Check it out. So it comes to the time where I have to choose one of my own videos. And they do say that comedy is the hardest art form to achieve. This video for a track called Pure Pleasure Seekers, which was off our last album, Things to Make and Do, is based on a Roxy Music performance on an Old Grey Whistle Test performance. Old Grey Whistle Test is a program that ran through the 70s in the UK. Brilliant, brilliant music program, really rough and ready. People would just come in, set up in this studio and do the thing, you know, go for it. The reason we wanted to base it on the Roxy Music performance was basically because the way they dressed and everything was just fabulous, and they were a great band. But also I think we related very heavily to the introduction. The guy who ran things on the Old Grey Whistle Test, the presenter, was presenting this thing, and he started it before they even came on. He was sitting there to camera and he's going, many of you will know my feelings about Roxy Music. This guy's a really serious sort of rock guy, you know. And they haven't changed since the last time they've been on the programme. Suffice to say, you know, I'm not going to go into that now and all this. And he's just really awful about them. And then the next thing is there's a shot of them in all their mad outfits and, you know, and they just go off on one and they're absolutely brilliant, you know. So I think we quite related to that sort of, you know, the kind of rock establishment looking down their noses at you kind of thing, because you don't take yourself maybe as seriously as they do. And so I think this is a pretty successful take on that whole thing. So here we go. This is Maloko's Pure Pleasure Seeker. Forevermore was an interesting video to make. For all intents and purposes, it's like a piece of pop promo, choreography, but it was done back to front. I neither know my left nor my right, and I'm dyslexic, and would be completely impossible for anybody to try and choreograph me. But I do have a bit of a swing, so what I did was I would dance for a minute in the tunnel on my own, and the dancers would then watch that minute and learn what I had done freestyle, and then they put the dancers in afterwards. So we had like three-minute sections like that. It took all day, obviously, but it was very easy for me and very difficult for the poor dancers to follow my one-legged funk all the way up the tunnel. And but I think it works quite well. I mean, I said it before, but it's almost like we're falling out of our... I mean, that's the way I dance anyway, to be fair, you know, a bit of a funky fool. But, you know, it's almost like we're all falling out of our step, and I like that because it's like a regular pop video, but it's not like a regular pop video. There's also a lot of emotional intent in the way that I perform it and also in the song, so hopefully that comes across. So here we go, Forevermore.